at a critical turning point for public safety. It's a place that demands new leadership. It demands leadership that can meet this moment with urgency and with a proven track record of incredible collaboration. Today, I'm naming Brian Redd as my selection for Salt Lake City's next police chief. Appointing a police chief is one of the most important decisions that a mayor makes. It shapes not only our department. Salt Lake City's police department today is strong in both our staffing and our public safety statistics. But we are also at an inflection point, facing intensified drug cartel criminal activities and a state-level focus on the complex challenges surrounding homelessness, among other capital city challenges. The work of this capital city police department requires more collaboration with our partners in public safety, criminal justice, and social services than we have ever needed before. And mark my words, our success will be congruent with the degree to which we successfully collaborate with our needed partners. Though today's announcement falls 1 week after the notice of Chief Mike Brown exiting his role from the department, I want to be very clear with you. I have made this decision with full conviction and thorough deliberation. Salt Lake City needs strong, decisive public safety leadership that knows our city's unique landscape and the landscape within the state of Utah, and who will dig in at the front lines in our communities and with every partner that we need to succeed. Mr. Redd is that leader. He brings more than 25 years of experience in public safety, most recently as the executive director of the Utah Department of Corrections, where he has led a workforce of thousands and overseen critical reforms in that department. Before that, he spent 21 years in the Utah Department of Public Safety, rising to the role of Director of State Bureau of Investigation, where he managed major law enforcement activities, operations across the state. But what stands out most about Brian Redd isn't just his experience, it's his ability to bring people together to get things done. He has worked at the intersection of law enforcement, mental health, addiction, and homelessness, issues that cannot be solved by enforcement alone. He understands that public safety is built through strong relationships and sustained collaboration. His ability to break through the tangles of bureaucracy, bring the right people to the table, and turn plans into action is exactly what Salt Lake City needs in a police chief today. For years, as the mayor, I have maintained a short list of people that I believed would be excellent additions to our city's leadership team. And even though my administration has seen far less turnover than many previous mayors' administrations, I'm always prepared for change, especially when it's necessary. And for years, Brian Redd has been at the top of that list for me. I first met Brian Redd in 2017. Over the last 8 years, I have watched his value-driven leadership bring accountability and direction, stability and partnerships, and humanity and dignity to all that he serves. In recent days, as our discussions have progressed, I've briefed Mr. Redd on our immediate needs to fulfill the goals that are outlined in our city's recent public safety plan, which we released last month, and he's prepared to step into this role on day one. But beyond that, his leadership will help further develop the strength and the effectiveness of our police department while growing engagement, accountability, and the trust of the people that we serve. My decision is about much more than our current plans and our immediate needs. We're taking action to make our city safer, but we'll also increase the support for our frontline officers who work tirelessly every hour of every day to protect us all. I want to take a moment to acknowledge with gratitude the 33 years of service of Chief Mike Brown. He'll step down at the end of this month, and he has been incredibly dedicated, leading Salt Lake City through some of the most difficult recent challenges the city has seen. He's helped to bring stability to the department, and he's laid the foundation for what comes next, and I'm very grateful for him. My recommendation of Brian Redd as our next police chief will be put forward to our city council, who will conduct advice and consent, as they do with every department director, on March 4th. Brian Redd is ready to lead this effort. I look forward to working with him on this next chapter of public safety in Salt Lake City. I'll turn the time over to Brian now, and then we'll be happy to take a few questions after.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor Mendenhall, for the opportunity to join your team. I appreciate your confidence in me, and I look forward to serving alongside the amazing police officers and civilian staff in the Salt Lake City Police Department. It's an honor to be back in Salt Lake City. I have lived in this community. I've worked here both as a state law enforcement officer and as a private citizen on a couple of occasions. I have served on nonprofit boards here, working to improve community safety and helping those who are struggling with complex challenges in their lives. I enjoy recreating here and dining with my family, and now I look forward to being here on a daily basis, serving the residents of this amazing city. I want to thank Chief Brown for his service to Salt Lake City. He is an amazing professional and a friend. Thank you, Chief Brown, for your service. Character, compassion, commitment to community, communication, and courage are the values of the Salt Lake City Police Department. Good values drive good policing. You can have great training, you can have perfect policy, but if you don't have a great culture and trust, then nothing will work well. Policing in this urban environment is a challenging and complex task, but also a rewarding task. It requires a humane and caring approach that these officers do every day from these officers while facing potential danger at any moment. I'm thankful for the officers of the Salt Lake City Police Department who have kept this community safe and work so hard every day to protect all of us and serve well. Our values in the Salt Lake City Police Department that I just mentioned will drive our work every day. As the mayor mentioned, one of the challenges that we face, particularly in an urban environment, is the issue of the intersection of crime, homelessness, mental health, and addiction. We have drug cartels, as the mayor mentioned, that are peddling fentanyl and ravaging many of our communities and the individuals in our communities. I've been focused on these issues for a number of years, and am happy to be back into the city to work on them with all of you in the community, in the police department. It's going to take a whole of government and community approach to solve these difficult issues. I'm committed to working with all stakeholders, local, county, state government, social services system, crisis response systems, neighborhoods, communities, individuals, businesses. We all have to come together to solve these difficult problems in our city. I do appreciate very much Mayor Mendenhall's recent efforts around the comprehensive public safety plan that was outlined by her staff, and the police department. It highlights the necessity for working together with all stakeholders. I'm committed to doing this and bringing people together to the best of my ability. And I'm committed to accountability for myself and results. To the residents of the city, I'm honored to serve you and pledge my best effort in providing excellent police services so that residents and visitors alike will feel safe and supported and part of the Salt Lake community. Policing works best, as I mentioned earlier, when trust and understanding exist between officers and the community. I know the Salt Lake City officers work hard every day to build that trust and to provide amazing and excellent services. And I will work tirelessly with the community as well to be a good listener, to understand the issues, to build trust, and serve in a manner that respects the values of this community. To all the police officers and civilian staff within the department, I look forward to serving alongside of you. I have served with many of you over the years on everything from information sharing projects to a cold case homicide database that we worked on together. I've been on the street doing enforcement with many of you officers and working on issues surrounding homelessness, complex criminal investigations, and planning for major events. I have an immense respect for the work that you do in the capital city, and I look forward to being part of it with you. You're in the trenches every day, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude for the work you're doing. And now I look forward to serving alongside you in a direct role. I understand I will need to earn your trust over time, but I'm committed to doing my best to support you, and I'm honored to stand with you and work alongside you. As the mayor mentioned, Salt Lake City is at an important time in history of the city, and I look forward to doing my part and being a good listener. To conclude, I just want to also thank the Utah Department of Corrections and the staff there. Over the past 2 years, I have served with them, and they're an amazing people doing great work to transform lives and protect communities. I appreciate the way the staff of the Utah Department of Corrections accepted me into the organization, and I just want you to know I've given my all to you, and I will miss you greatly. I'm confident the department will continue to rise and play a critical role in the criminal justice system. I also want to say to the incarcerated or those who are under supervision of the UDC that I wish you well on your journey back. It was an honor to serve you, and I hope the increased opportunities and mutual respect we were developing together will continue and benefit you, your families, the staff of UDC, and our communities. I again want to thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity. I don't take it lightly, and I'm committed. Thank you.
We'll take a couple questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Red. You mentioned that you've been thinking a lot about people experiencing homelessness and the intersections there. How will you help the Salt Lake City Police Department build trust in that particular community with people experiencing homelessness, as I imagine police will interact even more with members of that community?
I think what I would say to that is the same thing that we're trying to do in the community within the prison. We do need accountability, and there are people with a lot of challenges on the streets. We need to have accountability. We need to enforce the law, but we need to do it in a humane and dignified way. We all need to recognize that these are complex situations, and so this is where we need to bring together all stakeholders, policymakers, the crisis services system, the criminal justice system, the private sector to work on these issues. And look, we are doing the same in the Department of Corrections right now. We are increasing accountability within the prison. We're not going to allow drug dealing in the prison, which goes on, but we're also going to help those individuals in there and say, look, if you want to change your life and improve your life, we're going to be there for you 100%, and that's going to be the same approach.
And what does that specifically look like, boots on the ground?
It's proximity to the people. It's the officers getting on the ground with the people, holding them accountable, and also helping them. You know, when I worked on the streets of Salt Lake City with the police department as part of my duties a few years ago, I would tell the individuals, look, we can't accept you committing a crime. I can't accept you shooting drugs up in front of me. If you do, we're going to have to take an action. But I want you to know if you want help before you do that, if you want help while you're being arrested, or if you come back down here and you want help, we're going to be there to help you. You just let us know when you're ready.
Mayor, you mentioned in the decision to move on from Chief Brown an issue with leadership in police collaborating with each other and having those relationships. What were some of the things you saw that were highlighted? What were the issues in those relationships that you saw that you decided upon?
As as I've said a few times now, and in the last couple weeks in particular, Salt Lake City has done an incredible job. Our police officers, our HEART team, our rapid intervention team, and our community as a whole in raising the conversation in the state of Utah that homelessness is not a city issue. It is a statewide issue at least. And we've seen a pretty dramatic transformation in the accountability and the cooperation from other levels of government over the last 5 years. We are at an inflection point, and you see that, I believe, in the governor, speaker, and the president asking me to create a public safety plan that goes beyond our jurisdiction from a police department or municipal level and explicitly calls out what is broken in the other parts of the system. We have 27 actions we want you to hold us accountable to. We've now published them on our public-facing dashboard, and there's 23 actions our partners need to take. This is evidence of that inflection point of those partners saying, we need to know exactly what needs to change, and we're inviting you to call it out. And we didn't hesitate to do that. Whether or not those partners will step up and make the changes, the investments, and the continued collaboration is the next question that the leadership in our police department with Brian Redd, I believe, is going to be better at doing than we have been able to do in the past. If we don't succeed with the 27 actions we've set out to and the 23 we've asked our partners to do, we will be right back where we are now. And I said that when we launched the public safety plan. This is not an a la carte option. And I think that the work of our police officers day in and day out, whether or not it has to do with that intersection of mental health, criminal justice, and other needs, it is affected by whether or not our police department has the partnerships that it needs. We've seen it with our Project Safe Neighborhoods, with our federal collaboration since 2022, and we're seeing it now in potentially state legislation that could help us or could hinder us. And I think that the city has many examples of ways that our partnership is on the line right now.
How much did his experience in the DPS influence your decision with being able to work with different agencies?
Well, I think Brian has long been known as a trusted, reasonable leader in the state of Utah. And especially, the evidence is extra clear with the Department of Corrections work that he's done in the last 2 years, bringing quite a change for good to the Department of Corrections and being where the buck stops. And so I think that there's a whole number of examples, and across his more than 2 decades of public safety experience, his volunteering with Volunteers of America board, working downtown with private businesses to make sure they have security in place. He understands the landscape better than almost anyone.
Mayor,
And then over to Laura. Go ahead, Tony.
what signal, if any, do you expect this to send to Capitol Hill?
I'm not trying to send a signal to Capitol Hill. You know Brian Redd from the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Corrections. I know him from those roles because I've been in City Hall since 2014, and there's been a lot of engagement over the years. But this is not about the legislature. This is about the Salt Lake City Police Department. It's about our ability to keep the city safe. And that safety depends on our ability to partner well and to support our officers. Laura?
One of those partners comes in the form of federal money, block grants, direct money to the law enforcement to hire more cops.
Mm-hmm.
Are any concern that there might not be that money coming with the changes being made?
I think that every mayor, every police chief, every Department of Public Safety who is receiving Department of Justice funds, as we are, is worried about what that future landscape looks like.
Do you know how many dollars?
We can have another press conference about that. I don't want to make predictions right now, but all of our grants are public, and we do have a number of Department of Justice grants out there. Most of them taper down, so they were not meant to be ongoing, but it would be significant for us. Yes, right in the middle.
Mayor, before making this recommendation, was a nationwide search conducted? If not, why?
No, fortunately, we have the best in the nation standing to my left. What Salt Lake City needs is someone not only with proven leadership in public safety, deep understanding of the bureaucracies and the relationships that exist here, frontline experience in many ways himself, but someone who knows Salt Lake City, who knows Utah, and who can pick up the ball and run immediately. I feel really grateful that Brian Redd was not only interested but excited in this role. If he wouldn't have been, we would have gone to a national search, but he was the only person that I wanted to talk to first.
Do you
Yes.
believe this change of the guard will prompt state lawmakers to not pursue HB 465?
Probably not. I think they're going to do whatever they want to do. And it has nothing to do with my decision here.
Director Red, if I
Uh,
understood,
I'll come to you next, Ben. Go ahead.
How do you hope new leadership can build more trust in the community and be with people where they're at? And was that done before, and how do you hope it happens differently?
You know, I think Chief Brown has done a great job at the community level. I think half the people in this city have his phone number, and he's always been very good about showing up at the community level. I expect Brian Redd to continue that and grow it in whatever capacity he sees possible. But I think that our community is in good hands, and if there's ways we can improve, I know that he's going to find them. Ben?
you said you lived here in the past, but not currently. Over time, do you intend to relocate to the city?
I'll answer that for you.
And I have no plans to move from my current residence. My wife is remodeling it right now.
Do you think that will color your perspective of crime in the city if you don't live here?
Say it again.
Will it color your perspective of crime in the city if you do not live here?
Look, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the city, and I have spent a lot of the time in the city, and I'm committed to trying to understand the issues the best I can.
Mr. Red, going through this process, obviously, making a move like this is for change. What changes have you presented that you would like to see moving forward in this office?
Well, look, I think I'm going to do an assessment over the next few months to see what changes may or may not need to happen. I mean, you've all reported on concerns from call response times to how disciplinary investigations are done, to trust between line level and administration. Those are some things I'm thinking about. But really, there's four kind of areas that I'm thinking about, and one is how do we support our staff, our police officers in the department? How do we compensate them well? How do we provide them the best training and resources possible? And look, in this day and age, I work for them. We're going to work hard to earn their willingness to stay here and work as police officers in the city. It's an amazing opportunity to work in Salt Lake City. You get some of the most complex and challenging policing, and we hope to find talented individuals who want to do that. The second thing that I'm thinking about is safety, obviously. That's why we're here as a police department. We want our officers to be safe while they're doing their job. I'm going to listen to the officers on the ground telling me how we could make them safer and what training they need, what resources they need. We need to make sure the residents feel safe. And look, I know there's statistics that show this crime has gone down, but also there's people that don't feel it's safe at times. And we have to understand that how people are feeling and how they're perceiving things is something that we need to take seriously. And we're going to be talking to those people, and we're going to be making this a safety a priority and a focus. I just think the other two quick areas that I think about a lot are working together and collaborating, because as to the mayor's point, this is really a complex issue. These problems are not easily solved. These officers, they will arrest someone, get them to the county jail, or they will take them to the hospital on a pink sheet to get help, and they get put back into the community, and the officers go and do it again, and they look for resources. They're very dedicated. I've watched them. They're dedicated in trying to help these individuals, and while holding people accountable for the crimes that they commit. And we're going to have to all come together from the top down to solve these issues. And I'm not one that wants to point fingers or cast blame or withhold information. We're going to come together and we're going to solve these problems. We're going to work on it. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to make improvements. The fourth area that I would talk about is just innovation. How do we change our approaches? How do we provide improvements to our systems, our processes within the police department? You know, any excellent organization, you look at some of the Fortune 100 companies, they're constantly innovating and assessing and making changes. And sometimes we don't always want to make changes, but I'm going to be committed to listening to our officers on the street doing the work, seeing what needs to be done, and working with them to get it done.
One more question?
One more.
Yeah, I guess with the timing of this, that
Yes, we'll sort of more like a delegation of authority in those few days in between, because we're bringing Brian Redd in from outside of the city. We do need to go through the advice and consent before the hiring is official. Whereas if we were promoting from within, we could start him on March 1st, but we need to wait for the city council approval. So we will announce that before the 28th, who that person will be. It will be someone on our staff, obviously, on the police department staff for those few days. Thank you all for coming out, and we look forward to March 4th with the city council to have them ask many more questions of Brian Redd. Thank you for being here.